It allows us to promote our sector as being an area of high passion and high effectiveness.
Welcome to Fika's Focus. Voices leading change.
I'm here to have a yarn to you today about teaching as a passion. I started in education formally. I started in 2004, and part of what drove me into being a teacher is that I felt like I could be a better teacher than the teachers that I had growing up. That was a real driver towards me wanting to really build environments for kids that supported everything that they were and wanted to be. I was really fortunate in my own teaching career to have my passions really fulfilled from great leaders and great people. Tony Gray, Jan Whaley, Gavin Oliver, then and other places where I went to. I was allowed to really continue to exude passion in this space. Now, when we talk about teaching as a passion, it means that it's actually calls out to us as this is where we belong, this is where we should be. Working with children is truly a privilege, and it is a passion because every day we get to walk in and we get to reset the day from yesterday and start again and start building and building opportunities for those children to hopefully be their best versions in that day. As a passion, when you walk in and you're so driven to create those sorts of environments, it forces a whole range of things. But the few things I want to talk to is the first thing is when you're really passionate about it, you're very creative. Creativity is a real cornerstone of our company in Future Focus. We're really driven towards creative opportunities or creating ambitious innovation so that we can get out and create environments that allow teachers to perform at their best and for children to ultimately, and whānau, to ultimately have great outcomes. The best thing about being passionate and creative is that new ideas constantly flow. We see the things that happen in their day-to-day and we start to move towards that. A good example is Sophie down at the Batch, and she's been really running down this avenue of kind of engineering and stuff, but she just started with building jet airplanes, and it's that sort of thing where she's been able to use her passion to drive a lot of the learning that's been going on, and that's just one great example of the passion that we see. The second thing about passion when working as in that space of teaching is it's infectious. Kids love a passionate teacher. They love it when you walk in and I remember, this is how old I am, but I remember when the Gruffalo came out, and it was actually with my new entrance class, and we built a play around it, and we built masks, and we built a whole forest environment, and we acted out the Gruffalo, and the kids, they just couldn't get enough of the book, of the learning, of the artwork, and everything that tied into what that book meant for them. And actually, when I think about going back into my childhood, I utilised the experience that I was given from Mrs. Kedian around the book Where the Wild Things Are. So the passion is a really infectious way to deliver real key messages, to invoke passion in the children themselves around all the cool things we're doing in the room, and ultimately feed the curiosity for them to carry on into those spaces as well. The third thing about passion when you're teaching, when you're working with teaching and children, and passion as a real key point to being a great teacher, is that it gets you working together with the great teachers around you. When you're really passionate and you've got a team of real passionate educators, the flow-on effect of that is just a phenomenal environment, high-quality environment that creates opportunities for those other two pieces that I've spoken about to really flourish. I am really privileged to have worked with some amazing teachers. So I think back my time in Rewa working with like Junior Pailua. He's a good example of Dwayne and them, the real great example of really, really passionate teachers. And when we got together, the creativity opportunities were just huge. When I worked in Doha, I worked with people like Lee Cunliffe and Dave Burt and Anne Jadid. They were really passionate educators. They knew what it meant to get things rolling for kids, to really create opportunities for them to really sink into the learning and understand what the learning was asking of them. And it was just such a great team, and some of the greatest teams I've worked with. And that stuff, one key theme was that we were all very passionate. I think about some of our things in terms of our own environment that we've got within Future Focus. A good example is the Papamoa Beach crew, the Ngāhi space, Kate Doran, Kate Linsky, we've got Taylor and Paula. They're just a group of passionate educators. Their PGCs are all built on how do we build child-led scenarios, how do we create environments that do this and this and this, and it's just such a passionate group of people around that are focused on building preschool experiences that really keep the kids' excitement levels really high and the learning really high. The TVs, the Terrace Views team, like what we see from them regularly in that space and the passion that's driven. We think about the Shays and the Arminds and Danielles and that of the world, Eliana, when we think about those sorts of things, the passion is really evident and clear, and kids love turning up. They love doing things with their team, with their teachers, and they don't even realise that they're actually engaged in a whole big bunch of learning, which is really important. The other thing that's a real important piece around passion and being passionate teachers is it allows us to promote our sector as being an area of high passion and high effectiveness. Think back to your time of being in education. That's something we can all relate to because we've all been through some level of education as an adult that's got us there. Think back and think, right, who was my favourite teacher? What was it about that teacher that makes them your favourite? What memories do you have of that teacher? What is it that still ties you to saying that they were a great teacher? I'm pretty certain one thing that you'll be able to land on is that they were passionate. The last part I really want to talk to is about when you're dealing with passionate teachers, what it allows us to do is we absolutely get to advocate for our sector. There is no doubt in my mind that early childhood is the most important sector in the education window, and I'm keen to hear other people's opinions on that. But when we're really passionate about what we do, it gives insight to our whānau, to other community members about what we're trying to do to really change the lives of whānau, to really enhance their lives and lift the probability of success for them. And that passion that we come across with is infectious for whānau as well, as they know that there's a group of really caring, high passionate individuals focused on building the best opportunities and environments for their children. And that is something that we're really proud of. In that space, I want you to think back, and this is a real cool opportunity for you. I want you to think back to the best teachers you ever had. I think about that for myself. I think, again, Mrs. Kedian was a good example. Mr. Dodds, he was really cool. Mr. Stain. I think back to those people, and I think about why they were my favourite teacher, what it was they did that really made me think this is someone I want to hang around with and learn from. And I bet you will absolutely land on that they were a passionate educator. That unequivocally comes alongside being a high quality educator, is a passion for the subject, a passion for children, and a passion for bringing the best out of these children from their environment. So my call to action for the podcast today is this. Do you know who that teacher is? You don't have to tag them, but I'd love for you to write their name and maybe give us some insight into why they are a teacher that you truly remember. And I can almost guarantee that the aspects that you write down that helps you remember them as being a passionate teacher is going to align with a lot of the teachers that are working with your children. Up the wās.